Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. Eric Dominijanni, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule to be with us, and I'm super excited about our time together. So one of the things that we talked about before we hit record is everybody has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And what we know is details from your life people are going to connect with that with you, and they're going to go. It's going to inspire and motivate them to go out and do things like you've done, like start a company and start a charity and write a book, that kind of thing, right? So with your permission, we're going to start with where you were born, go all the way up to today, and then we're going to talk about Fior Scotch, obviously, and your amazing veteran-owned company, right? But I want to get your life story on tape so that we can get to that, okay? So let's start with where you were born.
Okay, I was born in Brooklyn, BensonHurst, New York.
Okay.
But I was raised. I really can't claim it because I moved right after I was born. I was raised in Forest Hills, Queens, which I like to say is it's like the or the second, always switches, the most ethnically diverse county in the world.
I love it.
So
I love it. That's cool. So a melting pot, right?
Absolutely. That's why you have me.
So what was your favorite thing about growing up there?
I would say, looking back at it now, when you're a kid, you take all these things for granted. And I will honestly say it was the mix. I grew up where you had a Black Italian guy hanging around. Here's a perfect story. A Black Italian guy and a Lebanese Armenian guy. Me with the Chinese girlfriend, him with a Pakistani girlfriend, growing up in a Russian Jewish neighborhood, going to get a Jamaican beef patty at an Italian pizzeria that's owned by an African guy and an Indian guy.
Yeah, I love it.
That's what I miss about home more than anything.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That is awesome. So growing up, who was the most influential person to you?
Alexander the Great.
Yeah. Why is that?
I was in elementary school and we had to write a paper. Must have been in second or third grade, something along those lines. And let me start. I'm first generation American.
Right.
Okay. And I wasn't raised on, the comic books, my parents didn't know that. So my comic books were Hercules. It was Greek mythology, Norse mythology, things like that.
Right.
So when I was in elementary school, my peers, we all had to write a story about which person is the most that you admire, who's influenced you. And my friends were talking about like Babe Ruth or a singer. And I was, if you try hard enough, you could be like this person. Like, these are people within your grasp. Right. I'm like, how do you compare, no offense, how do you compare Babe Ruth to Alexander the Great? Right. Conquered the known world at 19. Right. Give me Achilles, it might be mythological or somewhat mythological, but those were the people who inspired me. King Arthur.
Cool. I love it. That's awesome. That's cool. So when you went to high school, did you have a favorite subject?
Biology.
Yeah. Why?
I absolutely love science. It was just something that it's one of those subjects where you were glad to bring home and you couldn't get enough of it. I just kept reading more and more and more about, about biology, anatomy, and physiology. Everyone knew I was going to be pre-med. Everyone knew I was going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Eventually one day, and obviously that changed.
Yeah, just a little.
Right.
The off-ramp of life, yeah. So, So in high school, did you play sports?
I was track and field.
Okay.
I did a lot of track and field. I devoted my life. I ran everywhere. I used to run from my house to school. It was a funny thing. I didn't have a jacket. I know it sounds crazy, but I didn't have a jacket at the time. Yeah. And I would run it. New York City winters aren't exactly known for being everyone. No one knows. It's New York winters are rather cold. Excuse me for the background noise.
Just a little, just a
Yeah.
little, right?
So I would run from my house to track practice or my house to school. So I kind of had to be a runner, I guess, if you will. And the other one was martial arts. Yes. And then martial arts was my other thing. I devoted my life to martial arts from, I can't tell you from what age. So when everyone else was smoking cigarettes or hanging around, I'm not going to say I was the nerd or the good kid, but I was out there stretching, trying to study physics or chemistry or something like that.
So which martial art?
I started with judo when I was about 7 or 9 years old. Then I got into I hate to use the word basics, but I got into taekwondo and Shotokan. And then by college, I was exposed to Jeet Kune Do, Wing Chun, and then eventually ninjutsu, which was one of my Jeet Kune Do and ninjutsu were my two favorite martial arts. And then I eventually, when I left college, I was, joined the military and I was traveling all over the world. So I'd be Aikijitsu here, Aikido over here, whatever, Muay Thai, whatever that the city or the state had to offer.
Gotcha. So after high school, you go to college. Where do you go to college?
Right. I went to NYU, New York University. And
why did you pick NYU?
First generation college, if you will. At that time, it was a very prestigious. It still is, obviously, a very prestigious school, and it was just a big thing. It's right in the city. They had a great program, and I applied there. I got in, and then I just wound up going. I was not able to graduate from there. It was a little bit too expensive, and back then we didn't have an internet, so I didn't know things about. And being first generation, you don't know things about scholarships, where to go for loans, and I just was literally, you walk into school with $50 in your pocket, and your first book is $100. I was like, I couldn't afford to eat. I lived off of ramen noodles, $5 for $1, pizza crusts, and chicken. We call them the ends of the chicken cartilage that people didn't eat. I know it sounds really horrible, but that's kind of what I lived off of in college.
Well, that's the cheapest thing you can get, right? Right.
Then
you do what you got to do. You got to have protein.
I did, yeah, exactly. And then I transferred to Mercy College, on a scholarship, athletic scholarship and academic scholarship. And that changed my life. I wound up taking anatomy and physiology courses with cadaver. I was taking postgraduate courses undergrad, finished that. I was pre-med, pre-med, pre-nursing. If you name that there was a health profession out there, I made sure I had the requisites for it. And then I realized towards the end of my education, my bachelor's degree, that I didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to give the cure for cancer. I wanted to develop the cure for cancer. I wanted the PhD route versus the MD route.
Gotcha.
And I was intent. This is where we'll have a pause in a second for the next phase. I was looking at going to John Jay for forensic science for my master's.
Right.
But then I decided to go to the Marine Corps with the intent of getting out after a few years ago to John Jay. And
so Marine Corps so the idea of going to the Marine Corps was that basically to pay for college?
No, not at all. At the end, when I couldn't afford to go to school anymore, I decided, let me try to join the military. And when I almost signed the paperwork, I was all set to join. I figured this is, I can't sit home and do nothing. Right. At least I'll get some type of education or training in the military. Sure. I was about to join, and then I wound up getting a scholarship. So I went back to school, and then I got that bug. I was so enthralled with the military, and I was like, I'll finish school and then join the Marine Corps afterwards. I read too many books I told you about King Arthur, Achilles, and stuff like that. So I figured I didn't want to read books. I didn't want to read about history. I wanted to make history. How's that?
I got you. So why the Marine Corps?
Toughest one out there. That was pure and simple. It was the most challenging. I was the recruiters. They have a special way, apparently, of recruiting people like me. I went into the Navy and I took a practice ASVAB test, and I did exceptionally well. Yeah. And I was trying to ask him if I was going to wear a uniform. I was going to go in the field, and he's like, "Oh no, you want to be a corpsman? You're going to be in a hospital. You won't even know what military life is like." I'm like, "You're not selling me, guy. Like, I want to get dirty."
Right.
And I walked out, and I'll never forget. There was a Marine in his dress blue Deltas. That's the blue pants with the short sleeve shirt. And he says, "You think you got what it takes to be a Marine?" I'm like, "What? captain of the track team. I do kung fu. I'm a sensei. I could do hundreds of give me the paper. I'll sign right now.
Right.
He completely got me hook,
Yeah.
line, and sinker.
One
So,
question.
go.
He asked you one
Yeah,
question.
that was it. Yeah, that's it. He just asked, "Do you think you have what it takes?" He challenged
Closed
me.
you, didn't he?
He closed me in a tenth of a second. Yep.
So we talk a lot. We talk a lot on this podcast about the power of questions.
Mhm. It was.
Question. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the other services, what made the Marine Corps recruiter different than all the other services is that every other service said, "This is what we could do for you."
Yeah.
The Marine Corps said, "What can you do for us?" Or do you have what it takes to be one of us?
Yeah.
And that I took it as a challenge, and I wound up sticking around the Marine Corps for 20 years.
Yeah. And they did that on purpose, right? Because every Marine you've ever met in your life
Mhm.
is big time gung ho, and they are absolutely going to not only reach that level, they're going to smash through it. Right?
Completely.
There's a determination about Marines that you don't find anywhere else in the world.
Sure. When I went through officer candidate school, there was he's a major, I can't remember his name, and he was talking to us, and he said, "How many of you were the captains of your team? How many of you run marathons? How many of you went to Ivy League schools?" They go, "Gentlemen," and everyone's raising their hands. The gentleman, look to your left, to your right, look to your front, your back. The bar has just been raised. You are standard now.
Yeah.
I might have been the big guy on the block where I'm from, but when I joined the Marine Corps, I run track. So do I. Oh, I'm a martial artist. We had 2 Olympians, 3.
Yeah.
I went to OCS with 3 Olympiads.
Yeah. Yeah. That does not surprise me in the least. I mean, if you spend any kind of time at all with Marines, you understand the mentality, right? Like I was driving behind a gorgeous brand new Corvette the other day, and it said Marine for life on the license plate, like it's Marine always, baby, always.
And that's exactly it. I'm very proud of my time. Good times, had great times, had some bad times, but the great times they outweigh any bad time I could have possibly had in the Marine Corps.
Well, the bad times prepared you for where you are today, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
To an extent, you almost embrace them because of what you learned from it,
That which does not kill us makes us stronger.
That's it. I totally agree with that. So how long were you in the Marine Corps?
20 years. I served as an assault amphibian officer.
Okay.
Which is, in plain speak, it would be an amphibious mechanized armored personnel carrier.
Okay.
So imagine I'm amphibious mechanized infantry. There we go.
Gotcha.
That's the best way to describe it.
I got you. Okay. So what was your favorite thing about being in the Marine Corps for 20 years?
Leading Marines. I might have had, different people join for different reasons. Different people have different personalities. I like to say that I have a personality. And I loved being around my Marines. It's to this day, if you look at my Facebook page, 90% of the people are my sergeants, corporals, master sergeants, a few officers, very few officers, but most of them were all my enlisted Marines. And there's nothing better than, I know misery loves company, but when you're freezing with a bunch of your Marines, and I'll never forget looking, it's like, guys, we're in 29 Palms, for example, we're in cold weather training, and we'd be like, it's hot, it's cold, it's just ridiculous. And I go, gentlemen, look at this. This weather is horrible. It sucks. Right. I'm like, embrace it. Embrace the suck, because no one could ever brag about being in the field in 75-degree weather with beautiful skies.
Right.
A great story is told when it's 0 or 120 degrees. It's raining in a jungle. It's been raining for a week. Your stories will always be better than what everyone else can tell.
Right. And you're in a chemical suit, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was Iraq OF1. Yes. Yes. We were in our NBC suits for the greater majority of the push to Baghdad. Yeah. Yes.
Just so we're clear. Right. And you had seconds, literally seconds to put that thing on. Right. So the alarm sounds, you got to put that thing on fast.
No, it wasn't the alarm.
Last one.
It was the chicken. If the chicken died, then you put it on. We had chickens because, like the canary. And if the chicken died, not realizing the chicken might be old or might be 140 degrees or sick, the minute the chicken died, you had to put the your gas mask on. Everyone's freaking out, and it's like, chicken's old. The chicken died of the heart attack.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. It had nothing to do with with any NBC attack.
Yeah, what a crack up. All right, so you're in for 20 years. Then where do you go?
I always said when I got out, my one of my senior officers asked me what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and I said I want to do something. I've been in the Marine Corps for 20 years. I'd like to do something that's exceptionally challenging,
Right.
something that I could really put out there. So I want to go to culinary school.
There you go.
So I wound up going to culinary school. It's in my blood. I'm half Italian.
Yeah.
While I was in the Marine Corps, I went up against Bobby Flay many, many years ago.
Wow.
I was on I was in Throwdown with Bobby Flay, season 1, episode 5, #1 show on the network and the #1 episode on the show.
Yeah.
I got offered my own show primetime many, many years. I was just always in Iraq or about to go to Afghanistan or something like that during that time period. And it's just something I've always, people come up to me, you're a great chef. I'm like, I'm not a chef. I'm just a guy who cooks very well. Until I have that little piece of paper that says I graduated from culinary school, I'm just a guy who cooks very well. So now you can call me Major D or Chef D, if you wish. So I went to culinary school, got offered a job as an instructor before I graduated.
Yeah, you did.
And then after that, COVID hit, which prevented me from continuing. I did graduate, but I did want to go for some more advanced training. I did study in Thailand and Singapore. I wanted to, go to New Mexico. I was supposed to go to New Mexico, Greece. I can't remember some of the other countries. I want to just literally leave for like a year and just study.
Right.
And then after that was done, I got into my Scotch, but I actually started pursuing my PhD, which I'm almost done. So I'll be a doctor.
Where did you pursue your PhD?
University of Miami.
And why did you pick the University of Miami?
Oh, it's close by. It's commutable. It's a good
You
school.
lived there at the time?
Yes, I live in Miami right now.
I got you.
So
you lived
Miami,
there at the time that you
yes.
picked Miami. I got you. Okay.
So and that
like NYU, right? You were right there. Yeah.
Exactly. It's easy. I can get down there anytime.
So you're a Hurricane.
And no, I didn't grow up with college football. I'm a Yankee. I never understood the infatuation with college football over professional football. Yeah,
I love college football.
Yeah, Giants fan. I know. And when I joined the Marine Corps, one of the major culture shocks was finding people who chose their college based on the football team.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait, so you're choosing by the college team by educational merit? I don't comprehend that.
Yeah.
Which is alien to me. And they said, you just don't know, you're a Yankee. So I was like, okay.
So when I was this tall, I was growing up in Oklahoma where I was born. And me and a bunch of my friends all wanted to play for Barry Switzer.
Okay.
He was the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners at the time. And they were winning national championships and they were an amazing team and the whole thing. So I basically became an Oklahoma fan at a very young age. And as I got older, it just got worse. It just got worse. Now I just bleed Oklahoma red. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. I went to the blood bank the other day, and the girl that was taking my blood said, "So can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." She goes, "Do you spend a lot of time outside?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" And she goes, "You have some of the brightest blood we've ever seen here." And I'm like, it's Oklahoma Crimson, baby. That's the reason, It's not the being outside thing.
Yeah, I was given an Oklahoma hat by a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I would say that it saved my face because we'd be so tired dissecting the cadavers that the brim, as I'd fall asleep, the brim would prevent my face from planting into a corpse, I guess, if you will.
There you go.
Sorry.
We're Sooner, baby. Hey, we're bringing it no matter where it is. All right. So you get into the PhD program at Miami.
Right.
So what happens? You're in the PhD program at Miami. What happens that brings you to create Scotch? Fior Scotch.
All right. So for that, we have to go back in time a few years.
Okay.
And what happened? I was stationed in California in 29 Palms, which is basically Joshua Tree National Park.
Yeah.
Middle of the desert, nothing there. I had just come from like areas like Camp Lejeune, places that I know, it's just not me. Again, as a Yankee, they're not the greatest places in the world for a city, especially a single city guy, who's half Italian, who loves food.
Talks with his hands. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It just wasn't my. And granted, I've been to Iraq and, places, I've been to the field and I enjoyed it. But when you come out, you want better. All you want is what you ask for. But when you're in the Marine Corps and around every base, even the Army, when you get off base, you're like, hey, can I have a cheeseburger with no mayo? And they give you the burger with mayo. Can I please just have a haircut that's not crooked? Can I just have a glass of water with ice?
Just
and
one. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And they know that whatever they give you, it's going to be better than what you get at base. And after a while, you get sick of it. I'm not asking for champagne.
Right.
I believe, it's not that I believe that I deserved better. I just believe I deserved what I asked for.
Yeah. I'm not going to the Tavern on the Green, right? Come on.
Yes.
Now, right?
Yeah. So here I am. I'm in Los Angeles, and I'm not, I know LA somewhat. So please excuse me if I mess up the areas. And we were at a bar. It might be Borders. I can't really remember, but there was a guy there and he said, hey, are you guys in the service? And I was, this guy was in the service, but got out. My buddy never went. There's a few of us. And I was like, well, they're like, I'm a Marine, active duty. He's like, hey, I'd love to buy you a drink. Thank you for your service.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.